honourable member for Lacombe-Panoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I must confess, though, I'm a little bit unsure. I was going to thank Ms. Notley, etc., but she isn't in the House, so is it appropriate? I'm sorry, that was wrong altogether.
Do you withdraw the comment? Thank you.
I'll just skip over it. I was going to get congratulations, but we'll let it go. Sometimes I'm accused of being a dreamer. I've been often drawn toward a dream for a better world, and I couldn't help but notice that the speech from the throne was somewhat like that as well. The difficulty, though, is for all of us, getting from dreamer to doer is a distance. Bridging the difference between the way things are and the way they could or should be is challenging. The great people in this world are the ones who see a better tomorrow and actually help to create it. So I do believe in the good land, the good life, and the good society, except, of course, if somebody's trying to sell it to me. Then I have to admit I'm a bit skeptical. But that's why I've always sought to be both a community and a capacity builder in our world. During the campaign, we heard quite clearly that math is hard, but the painfully obvious thing was that politics, in fact, is much harder. It's never going to be easy. It will always be a challenge. And it wasn't easy for those who came before us. I think of my four grandparents, one each Irish, Danish, Norwegian, and German. They came here to a new land with incredible challenges. My grandfather arrived by himself, 15-year-old, in about 1911, or pardon me, my father's father. Well, yeah, my grandfather. My mother's family came to a homestead, built a sod shelter for the winter of 1906, close to Drumheller. So life is a challenge for all of us. I'm not the first in my family to actually serve in a legislative assembly. I follow in the footsteps of my great uncle, who spent 20 years as a state senator in the North Dakota legislature. And after him, his daughter Ruth, pardon me, a name, became the first woman lieutenant governor of North Dakota. I've been fairly self-reflective in life, and finally by 60, I think I've begun to figure myself out just a little bit. One day in a foggy blaze of brilliance, 6 W's that define my self-understanding began to emerge. And the alliteration, by the way, has helped me not to forget who I am, at least not so far anyway. So wilderness. My refuge is the wilderness. I prefer to holiday in remote and wild places. Wood. I love wood, its sturdiness, its diversity, its smell, its feel, its color. For strength and beauty, it's a wonderful artisan material. Work. I get a great deal of reward from work, actually. It gives me purpose and identity and camaraderie. It draws out of me creativity and learning and growth. I actually get up excited in the morning to go to work. Words. Words are the bodies of ideas that awaken and speak to me. Words are vision crafted with care. We travel by words into one another's minds and souls. A woman. A certain woman, Donna Marie, is in many ways the very center of my life. We've been married 39 years as of Friday. Together we have 3 wonderful children and now 7 grandchildren. All right. And lastly, worship. I can't pretend to know much about God because he is, after all, the great mystery. But I do know that all worship begins with a sense of incredible wonder and awe. And I share some of that because I actually truly believe that many of the people in my writing would embrace similar values and self-understandings, although each would be unique to themselves. So I'm truly delighted to live amongst and represent the 40,000 stable, hardy people of Lacombe-Panoka, which actually should soon, I hope, become Lacombe-Blackfalds-Panoka, since Blackfalds has grown larger than Panoka now. Lacombe-Panoka is in the central parkland region of Alberta. It is lush, verdant, and fecund, one of the most fertile and amenable zones of the province. West, it's too cold and rocky. East is too dry for good farming. The central corridor is just right. But that's made it a place of conflicting visions. The people of Musquasis, Bear Hills, where there are now 4 treaty reserves, found berries and abundant game and wholesome life there. Panoka is a word from the word for elk. These Cree and Blackfoot peoples have their vision of life. I've met some of their elders. I know some of their people, good people, finding a new vision for life. Next, there came a wave of farm settlers with their vision. They settled in this area early because it was the best. But that has also put it at risk. Prosperity came, and roads and development and industrial and residential development is paving over the very best agricultural land in the province. Should we not preserve land and protect farming? Food does not originate in grocery stores. Farmers are getting harassed by those who don't like the smell or the noise or the big equipment on the roads. Increased regulation and legislation is not often supportive of farming. And yet agriculture is absolutely one of our most sustainable industries. It contributes to our economy, independent of the oil and gas treadmill. Food production and processing in Lacombe County includes cereal grains and oil grains, seeds, and many huge produce greenhouses that have been erected in recent years. The Alex malt plant ships malt to brewers across the globe. Beef, cattle, hogs, chicken, eggs, milk production are all intensive in my area. Alberta produces 44% of all of the beef in Canada, and the most concentrated production is in central Alberta. And rural communities contribute something else. Generations of strapping young men and resourceful women. The labor shortage for oil and gas and construction workers would be a lot worse without the steady stream of family farm progeny. But rural communities, schools, and health care are often not priorities for or even understood by massive centralized political bureaucracies. Just give rural people the power and the resources to manage their own lives, and they will thank you for it. These are some of the concerns of rural Alberta people. But then there are the needs and the visions of industry and business. Understand, Lacombe-Panoka is bustling with job and wealth-generating industriousness. Joffrey Petrochemicals plant is an example of an $8 billion value-added oil and gas industry in Alberta. It is the largest single enterprise in the riding, and it's currently in the middle of another $1 billion expansion. I have a personal interest in that plant because my father was a site manager for one of the early expansions in the 1980s. But there are other numerous gas and oil plants at Prentice and Content Bridge and Haines. And there's a whole number of secondary oil and gas service and manufacturing small businesses, small meaning up to 50 employees. And there's yet another group of agricultural manufacturing and service businesses with worldwide sales. Then there are the urban centers and an ever-increasing demand for acreages. Urban centers of Lacombe, Black Falls, and Panoka have been facing tremendous growth. They have worked together to develop regional infrastructure. The North Red Deer River Regional Water Commission now supplies water to all these major communities. There is still need to complete a regional wastewater treatment facility, which we hope the provincial government will be able to proceed with soon. It's urgent because the amount of untreated water now overflowing into the Red Deer River is unacceptable. There's an especially great need for a reliable and adequate funding model for municipal governments. Black Falls, as I mentioned earlier in the day, doesn't have a registry office. The whole town struggles with this. But the areas where the challenges of competing vision will most arise are the areas of land and water, use, rights, and management. The previous government enacted what many of my people consider to be terrible land legislation. It's unacceptable and it needs to be repealed or amended. I've been to surface rights and synergy land use meetings. I've sat and listened to the competing visions for water at the Red Deer River Watershed annual meeting. These are areas of concern. Our Aboriginal peoples of Musquasis, rural agricultural communities, urbanites, and business communities all have their own visions. And it's only as we listen with respect and learn to work together that we will build that better future. And of course, there are extremely important concerns regarding health and education that we're all aware of. The culture in these institutions just does not seem to be healthy. Both have become, the word I've heard is dysfunctional. Both are so frustrating to work in that teachers and nurses, whom I know personally, are pulling their hair out. These are just simply not best place to work environments. Home care and seniors care facilities are insufficient and would open up hospital beds. We are proud of the Centennial Centre in Panoka, Alberta's world-class centre for brain injury and mental health. We're also thankful for private education, specifically the benefits socially and financially from Canadian University College in Lacombe. The people in Lacombe and Panoka are industrious, productive, and innovative. Good leaders have arisen from among them in the past. Part of our heritage there would be Edward Michener, elected in Lacombe as leader of the official opposition from 1910 to 17. His son, the Right Honourable Roland Michener, 20th Governor-General of Canada, was born in Lacombe. Provincial Premier John Brownlee served in this riding from 21 to 35. Irene Parlby, the first woman in Alberta to be appointed a cabinet minister, and one of the famous five was from Alex, again, part of this riding. And good leaders will arise from this riding again. We need to give them the resources and the authority to manage their own lives, and they will thrive. I would be remiss, too, if I did not point out the thriving art and culture of our area. There are bands and fiddle contests and choral groups and comedians. Gord Bamford, country star, hails from Lacombe, as does Anna Marie Kaufman, world-renowned soprano. Oh, and there's the dance studios and the visual and artisan arts in every village, from the murals of Lacombe to the encaustic wax painters, pottery studios, a woodworkers guild, soap makers, you name it. And there's cowboy culture. The Panoka Stampede is second only to the Calgary Stampede. Or if you want something a little different, you could go to Longer's Days in the village of Tees in August, where mule and donkey owners meet from across the province and hold their own unique rodeo. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for a few moments to brag about the Central Corridor riding of Lacombe-Panoka and to outline some of the needs that I hope to address in the coming days in this House. These are the dreams for a better life of my people. Thank you to the people who have honored me with their trust and trusteeship. Thank you especially to those who helped to get me elected. And thank you to my wife, who has walked with me, knocked on doors, and encouraged me in every way. Thank you.